All right, brother, we're back. that that's how we do the icebreaker right there, man. Welcome in, Patrick. Thank you so much for joining me, man.
Yeah, dude, I'm happy to be here, man. Let's start the new year strong. Let's get it.
Let's get it, brother. First episode of the year. I did a little bit of research about you, brother. Looks like you're 28. You own multiple Airbnbs and you co-host 100 STRs, man. I'm excited to tell the audience. I want you to tell the audience your story. So I guess let's get right into it, man. So tell me, what got you into STRs in the first place?
Yeah, man. So straight out of college, I went into obviously did the traditional route. Felt like I was more of an entrepreneur, but I just didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. So I was always like hustling, like selling stuff when I was younger. I'm sure you can probably relate to that as well. Like snow plowing because I was in Chicago, kind of thing. So I just kind of did the whole thing, and eventually ended up went to college, got good grades, did the traditional route, worked at a company, and the company that I worked at, I was a product manager for a short-term rental property management company. And so I helped them scale from 200 to 1,000 plus units. And I realized, holy crap, this short-term rental stuff can make a lot of money. And I think the big key component for me was they did rental arbitrage. So they get a lease and then they make more money on top of the lease. The biggest point that I saw where I was like, dude, this is a huge moneymaker is in Palm Springs for those 3 weeks. Coachella number one, Coachella number two, and then Stagecoach. That paid off the whole rent for the full year. That's how much money they were making with those units. And I was like, damn. So that was like the whole inspiration. I was like, I got to get into this space. I got to get a little bit on this. Obviously got laid off during COVID craziness, whole whirlwind of stuff, trying to do other jobs and try to find other jobs and do the whole thing. But I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go back to what I like, hospitality and being in the short-term rental real estate industry. So, bought my first one and, story goes from there.
Yeah, bro. So it's funny, man. A lot of people they think that you have to be a trust fund baby or hit the lottery to acquire a bunch of homes like that. W- Tell me about your path, bro. So it sounds like you were laid off in COVID. That's only a few years ago. Like, how did you raise the money, or how did you get enough money to even buy a house in the first place?
Yeah, so I did win the lottery, and the lottery was a lottery of hard work.
Mm,
So
let's
I
go.
when I was 14, I built a company that was making $40,000 a year. So I was a young entrepreneur. Sold that company at 18. That paid for all my college, and that paid for my first property. My first property, the first property I didn't have that much money. I had $40,000 in the bank account, and I used every single dollar to buy that piece of real estate. I mean, it's as simple as anybody can do that. You can work a W-2 job and save enough money to buy real estate. Like, people don't realize you really don't need as much money, especially when you're buying out of state. I don't know, Rich, you're in California too, right?
Just no, I'm in Vegas.
You're in Vegas. Got
Yeah.
it. Got it. Yeah. So West Coast, but Vegas
Yep.
is also pretty expensive of a market.
It's been
So
growing for sure.
yeah. So, buying something in the Midwest, is a lot more affordable. So people don't realize
Mhm.
that. Or doing house hacking or doing an ADU play. Like, there's just so many things you can do and doesn't require that much money down. And I think people just don't realize that, man. And for me, that was just, I took every single dollar that I had. I found out that you can do a 10% vacation home loan, because it's a vacation home, and put 10% down on a 306,000 was the acquisition. And yeah, so $30,000 down plus closing costs was like all in 40K ish.
Mhm.
And here you go. I had a little 1 bedroom cabin in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, 2,000 miles away from me, and they were doing $30,000 a year. And I was like, dude, I've been in this space. I've helped a company scale. I know how to manage this property better.
Yeah.
And I doubled what they were doing in that first year. So it works, you know?
You know, it's the cool thing that I like, is that as you're like an entrepreneur, right? The cool thing is that you started at 14, like similar to me, right? Like I freaking sold newspapers door to door. Like I've sold alarm systems door to door, right? Like I've learned different skills from, you know, just different fields of work, right? And something that we learn as entrepreneurs, especially or personal development, is that for us to gain currency, we have to trade something of value, right? Or so we're able to identify gaps at a higher level, right? A lot of times there's people managing these properties and they're just not optimizing what they could be, right? And then we understand those solutions, whether it's tech or people or product, or maybe you just need to increase the value inside the home, or maybe you add the ADU or just whatever it is. But once you have enough experience, or you're going through these different experiences in life, we're able to identify those gaps of value. And if we know how to, you know, insert them, especially if we have a team around us, whether it's AI or people, bro, the sky's the limit, right? Because we're value
Absolutely.
creators. So that's my favorite thing about like being in the entrepreneur space or being in personal development, is because we get to identify what are the gaps in the world that we can fill, that not necessarily we're gonna have to fill it with our own two hands. Maybe we have the solution, and then we're able to employ more people so we can raise the economy of the world. We just make the world a better place because we have the solutions. Whether you're, you know, maybe all the yards in the neighborhood need to be landscaped. Well, shoot, why is it not happening right now? Because no one has decided to fill that gap. Just like how you do with short-term rentals, you understand that in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, there's homes that are not being optimized because people want to visit, they just don't have that solution because Patryk hasn't been there yet, right? So that's super cool, man. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. There's two types of people in this world. There's consumers and there's producers. The consumers always look at everything as a cost, and the producers always look at everything as a market value of what it is. So, you know, for example, let's say a broken down home. A consumer is going to look at that and be like, that looks like a headache. That looks
Yeah.
like it costs way too much for what you get. For us, we could be looking at that as, wow, I can get this for X amount, and then I can add Y amount, and then I can make it Z amount, right? Like that's the mentality of somebody like us that wants to produce and create value in this world.
Yeah, man, especially like in the Midwest, right? Like where homes are cheaper. Like um you can find a home for, you know, maybe under 100,000. Maybe it's 60 or 70, maybe it's 100,000. Let's call it 100,000 for simple math. Maybe the market value is 200,000, but there's going to be repair cost, right? And maybe it costs you 20, 30, 40,000. Well, you still have 60K spread that you can take, right? And that's what most people are not willing to do the work. You know, they're not willing to put in the work or hire or take the risk, right? The hardest part for us as entrepreneurs is just, you know, just taking the financial risk and the time risk. I think that whether you're spending time or money, it's all a risk, and it's like who's willing to do it. The people that are willing to do it are going to be the ones who grow, because you grow through being accountable. So, yeah, man.
Absolutely.
So what would you say, as far as acquiring short-term rentals? I know that you did the 10% down. Do you ever do like an owner finance play, or what would you say is your favorite play when you're trying to acquire like the short-term rentals?
Yeah, so short-term rentals, I ran out of money, right? So I bought my first one, I don't got money. So problems, right? What happens in the entrepreneurial journey is you encounter problems. But the thing about an entrepreneur, and that differs from a regular person, is somebody that solves problems, just like you mentioned before, right? So
Mhm.
in this situation, if I don't have money, so how do I get money? That's the question. It's not, oh, I can't do it. It's how do I make it happen? And how do I make it happen? I have to find somebody with money. And then why would that person work with me? How do I get that person to work with me? Right? You ask the question how,
Yep.
or sometimes who, right? Who can help me
Who
make
not
this
how.
happen?
Great
Yes,
book.
exactly. Instead of how can I do it, who can I hire to do it for me? Right.
Yes.
So the idea was, okay, I met this guy named Josh, right? And he
Okay.
had the opposite, well, opposite skill sets, opposite situation. I had one Airbnb. He wanted to get into Airbnb. He had the money and I had the hustle and I wanted to make it happen. And
Hmm.
so partner us together. I found the deal. I got it. I got it under contract. I did all the work for it in terms of the value add. And then he put the money up. That was the ordeal. And then I teach them about how to do Airbnb and manage them. So we did that. We actually bought 4 properties together. We've bought more since, but at the time that kind of situation that we had, we did 4 like that. And then what's funny is I was supposed to manage these properties in perpetuity, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that happened was eventually I came across, and at this point I was tapped out. We did those 4, right? Um, Interest rates went up, and you know what happens when interest rates go up, we have to refi into these high interest loans, and it kind of screwed up a little bit of the cash flow every month. So even though we did value add, which helps because in those situations we would have been really fucked. The problem is now you have high interest rates, so it's not a really good environment for doing like BRRRR and that kind of thing.
Yeah, because the cost to borrow the money is higher.
Correct. 100%. We were doing it at 7%. We were doing like
Mhm.
hard money 7%. Like it was awesome. But then now it's way more than that. So, or at the time. And so I was
Yeah.
like, well, cool. Well, I'm managing these 5 properties. Why don't I just find more properties to manage? And that's when I came across the opportunity to buy a co-hosting company. So somebody came to
What?
me. Yep. Somebody came to me and was like, listen, I don't got 1 property to help you co-host, but I got 15. Do you want to take it down? And once again, I didn't have the money. So I went up to Josh. I was like, dude, you already have 4 properties with me. I have 5 now with my own. Why don't you just come on in and let's be partners and let's just take down this deal as managers. Let's just buy a management company. And he was like, yeah, let's fucking do it. And so he put $100,000 down. And on the back end, depending on the performance we structure the deal where it depends on the performance of the properties. And if they leave or don't leave, we'll pay out the second half. Right.
Mhm.
And so we kind of put this whole thing in agreement. What's funny is we scaled so freaking fast through acquisitions because now we have a brand. So that kind of opened up my mind. I was like, wait, hold up. So eventually we ended up paying $160,000 for this management company. Where I started thinking as we paid $160,000 for this management company, and I'm realizing, wait, each contract's making me 20 to 25%. I'm making around $1,000, like $800 to $1,000 per property for 10 properties or 15 properties. And I'm like, wait, hold on. I had this property. Remember, going back to the first property I bought. The first property I bought was great. I was making $1,000 to $1,500 in cash flow.
Yeah.
But the problem is what people don't realize is that you have capital in that property.
Exactly.
So what's the return on equity? I don't care about anything else. Like what's the money that's sitting there? What is the potential for that money to do elsewhere, right? So
Mhm.
that money, I would say I had $175,000 sitting in that property because of the appreciation that we got over the last year and a half.
Mhm.
So I was like, wait, $175,000. If I buy a management company, I could be making 10 G's a month. And then here I am sitting with this 1 property for that same amount that's making me 1K. I'm like,
You spend 40K to make 1K a month versus you could take that 175 and how much you're gonna make off that?
sorry, you take that 175, you can make, I mean, dude, you can make, a lot more, with the
Mhm.
business. But what was the mind shift here? I know we're talking about real estate, and I love real estate. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to bash real estate. I think everyone should be always thinking about repositioning their assets depending on how much equity they have in their properties.
Mhm.
But I think that people get it wrong, especially when starting out. They don't focus on the things that actually make them fast money. You need fast money. Real estate's a slow game. The one of the most famous quotes that I've personally heard that really changed the game for me is billionaire told me literally straight to my face. He said, "I make my money in business and I keep my money in real estate." It was so simple. And for some reason it just clicked for me. I was like, "Wait, hold up. Yeah, you're right. Like it's the businesses that made you all this money and it's
Yep.
real estate was what preserved your wealth, is what kept it going." But I've never heard of somebody I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but I've never heard of somebody buying a multifamily unit, one multifamily unit, making $100 a month and being able to quit their jobs.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Like one of the belief systems that has changed, even listening to like Alex Ramosi, right? He talks about the S&P Me 500, not the S&P 500, right?
Same.
And
Yeah.
when you start investing yourself, the value that you start bringing to the world becomes a lot more because of the skills that you're acquiring, right? And yeah, 100%, you're gonna make more money in business because of active income versus passive income, right? Yeah, that's why you're gonna store your money in real estate, whatever's left over. But actively, when you hire the right employee or you have the right people around you, they're gonna make you tons of money, right? Like I have one guy on my team because he's on my team and he closed I think it was like 12 or 14 deals. I made 100K off that. One guy, right? There's no way that I take that same amount of capital, go put into a property, and gonna make the same return in 1 year. It's just not gonna happen, right? So I mean, it's the same concept. Yeah, I think investing in people and in businesses is definitely the way to go. If you are a passive investor, however, right? Because the audience for this is probably going to be more of an active investor, right? They're looking to how can I increase my brain so I can increase the value to the world. Your passive one, yeah, just go get real estate, right? Because just go buy a house every 2-3 years. For us, how can we increase our brain? How can we increase the value? How can we find the gaps that are out there in the world right now? In as far as like assets, like how can we increase those assets and get higher ROIs? So total, I'm
Yeah.
definitely there with you, brother.
Yeah. And that's exactly why some people, I don't know, maybe you have people that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah,
I
no,
feel like there's going to be some people that come up to you as a 20-year-old. They're like, I want to get into real estate. And I don't know, they just want to buy a property right away. And it's like, wait, hold on. Like you need to make money first. And you gotta do something like either sales in this case, right? For
you
you,
got to learn
make
sales.
your money,
You have to
grind.
learn sales. You got to learn sales no matter what. You got to learn sales. You got to learn marketing. 100%. You got to learn the math behind these different things, right? Just how you uncovered, oh my God, I have 175 sitting here, and because that 175 is only making 1K a month right now, right? Like I need to use that. It's just passive, right? You're not getting the highest ROI from that capital, so you wanted to reposition it somewhere else. So no, I'm on the same page. My only, I think, note I would add to that about buying real estate is I think that your biggest expense, I guess, living like personal, we're talking about investment, right? You're gonna keep paying for classes and courses and personal development because you want to learn those skills, right? Just how with Rich Summers, right? Like how can I learn how to be a brand? Well, I'm gonna go pay
Yeah.
because I want to learn the knowledge. I think that buying real estate's great, at least just buying one because you want to get that fixed expense like set up, right? Had I not bought my last house in 2020, if I want to move into the same neighborhood I'm in right now, it would cost me 50% more, right? Had I not bought that. But now because I bought it 5 years ago, I have a fixed expense that if I decide to never move, I'm good. I want everybody to have that fixed expense already set up as young as possible, to be honest. That's just my belief.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the right or wrong, but for the average consumer, I think they should be looking to get that fixed expense set up. Of course, keep working on yourself. Get up to 30K a month, get up to 60K a month as far as your life skills. But I think you got to get that fixed expense set up, whether you pay it off or you just have, a fixed cost every month. Because if not, dude, your debt's just gonna keep growing. So that's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I 100% agree. I'm a biggest proponent for real estate, man.
Yeah.
And I think there's so many ways to do it, and that's the cool thing about this world is there's so many ways to
Yeah.
wealth. And I mean, dude, if I didn't buy that first property that I had, I wouldn't have that was the first 100,000 I've ever made, like fully, like just in like one transaction,
One shot.
right?
Yeah.
One shot. I've done like $40,000 a year or something like that, but like to get $175,000 in my bank account all at once, that was pretty sweet. So, yeah, I with that, like I think money becomes power. Like the moment you make that money, it becomes so much easier to make more money, and then so much more easier to make more money. It just becomes the game becomes easy once you have the resources, it just you have just a lot more to play with. So
No, I
yeah.
got you, man. So what would you say? So obviously, we talked about um, grabbing short-term rentals and then buying your co-hosting company. Um, I was going to ask you before. So just for the average person, what does that mean? Like, what's a co-host company?
Yeah, no. Let's explain co-hosting. Co-hosting is a $0 down kind of business. It's a service business.
Okay.
You're going up to somebody, for example, this is the value creation aspect that we're talking about, right?
Yep.
You're going up to somebody that has a property, but they need somebody to manage it. Now, like I said, remember my first property that I bought, they were making $30,000 and I bought it and I was making $60,000. Now, take that same concept, but instead you're taking a percentage for that service. So for us, that's 25 to 30%. So
Yeah.
for 25% of your revenue, I will increase your revenue. I'll manage your property so you don't have to worry about it. And it's completely hands-off investment for you. That's
Mm.
what we do. So let's say the property makes $100,000 a year, 25% of that, then we get $25,000 every year for managing that property.
And is this long term and short term, or just short term?
We just do short term. So we only deal, I mean, keep in mind, there's a lot of moving parts here, right? There's people
Hmm.
going in and out of your door all the time. So you got people going in and out of your door all the time, right? Guests, you can have 5 to 12 stays per month. It's not like one move every couple years, if that. So it's very different from long-term rentals, but it's a hospitality business. You got to be very hospitable. You got to make sure the place is clean every single time. You have to send somebody out there if there's any issues. There's probably a lot of amenities that are also there, depending on what you have. Like we have luxury properties in Joshua Tree, most of them are over $1 million. So it's like these are just really nice homes that people stay at. There's an in-ground pool, there's a hot tub, there's all these different amenities, and people are, there's a lot of issues that could go wrong with those amenities. So we're taking care of all that, making sure that the homeowner doesn't have to deal with that. And so that's why we take a high percentage, is because there's so much that goes into it. On top of that, we have to do sales and marketing. How do I get a guest through the door? How do I convince them to use us versus the guy next door? And so, like, how do you position these properties? We have like the things that we do where we build these listings and we think about all the psychological elements that go into that. How do I get click-through rates in a very good manner? How do I get multiple platforms to host on to see if I can get more exposure, more platforms, right? So like trying to figure out ways to really get yourself out there and build a brand that people want to come back to. So people stay with the co-host company, and then that's our name of our brand. And then they want to come back and stay with the co-host company because their experience is amazing. And that's true hospitality. So we have a hospitality brand, but as you can imagine, once you have a lot of these properties doing volume, there's also a lot of employees that you need to, I mean, we have 40 employees. So,
Wow.
15 that are full-time or near full-time. So, or yeah, around there, like 12 to 15.
Gotcha. So
Um,
you're you're not contracting out the cleaners, like you have cleaners in-house.
in-house.
In-house cleaners, um handymen as well.
In-house handyman. Yeah. Welcome
Nice.
to
And
California. You got to hire these people. You can't 1099 them because that's breaking California law.
gotcha. So you're not like, hey, cleaner company, here's 100 houses. Whenever we need one, send one of your people. You'd rather just hire it in-house.
Yeah, because this area is really difficult to, because with it, if
Yeah.
you hire a cleaning company, and this is like legalities, right? Definitely talk to your lawyers about it. But when you're hiring a cleaning company, you got to make sure that there's workers' comp involved, that they're licensed, that everything's like correct. And it's really difficult. There's not like a really big company that's out there that's reliable and does all that. So we have to just build it in house, or hire a bunch of like family run businesses, but those are not business. They don't have, there's a lot of them aren't registered with the state of California. A lot of them don't have licensing. So you're kind of running a risk. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at.
That makes sense, man.
Yeah.
You know I'm wondering if the audience as well thinks about this. I think about like, because you acquire this, right? You didn't start this from the ground up. Essentially, you bought this
Yeah.
from somebody. I guess first question is like, what is the multiple for you to acquire? Like, what's the multiple? Is it based off bottom line or top line for acquiring a co-hosting company? What does that look like?
Yeah. Let me just clarify also. So I went from 5 of my own properties
Yeah,
to 100 in under 1 year, but I've also done 3
1 year.
acquisitions, 3 like property management companies I've bought in that 1 year. So
Wow.
really fast. The first one was 15 units, second one was 10 units, last one was 35. So that last one was the biggest one. Now, so I have experience with buying property management companies, and I've also teach people. I have a whole group, a whole mastermind teaching people how
Oh,
to buy
okay.
mastermind, how to build and scale their property management companies. So
We're
in a
gonna need
short
to get a link down below for that. You're gonna need to send me that, and then
no,
I'll
I'll
send
get. I
that
mean,
for them.
yeah, you can hit me up if you're interested. There's no
There you
like
go.
link or anything. It's just a
Okay.
little tight group. We got like 15 people. So anyways, what I do is I do this all day. So I love this topic.
Yeah.
Um, Buying your first management company or buying a business or whatever the case is pretty similar. You have like the first thing is understanding what is the valuation. The valuation is really deciphered through assets. What are the assets here that are really valuable? It's the contracts. You don't own the real estate, right? You own the contracts. So the contracts are what you're really going for. So if it's a smaller company, like let's say under 30, 40 units, then you're really going off of the management revenue. So let's say that it's usually 1x to around 2x management revenue. So let's say
For the
a
year, or for what are we talking about for the year, right?
for the year. So like let's say same example. The property makes $100,000 a year. You have a 25% contract. So you're making 25K a year. So you're going to be paying between 25K to 50K for that one contract. It's very rare that it goes up to 2x. Most of the times it's between 1 and 1.5, but it's possible.
Mhm.
So 1 to 1x or 2x, that's what you're going to be paying, right? So let's say that there's all of the let's say all 15 contracts make $200,000 a year. Top line. How much are you going to be? How much do you think, Rich, you'd be valuing this company?
Sorry, you said 200,000?
200,000.
Yeah. So between 100 or between 200 and 400, right?
Yeah,
You said
exactly.
between 1 and 2. Yeah,
Exactly. So that's
that makes
kind of
sense.
the idea.
And if it's a
Once
little
you
bit
kind of
bigger, I could see it being like, okay, 1.5x, because you've went out and acquired multiple clients already. So yeah, that
well,
makes sense.
yeah, well, like but once you get big enough, right? After 40, like we're in 100 now. So once
Yeah.
you get big enough, then it starts going off of EBITDA. EBITDA, what that means is earnings
Before
before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. It's a fancy way of saying,
EBITDA.
yeah, EBITDA or I say EBITDA. I don't know how to say it. Some people say EBITDA, whatever. It basically just means earnouts.
Yeah.
This is what you made. And so what did your company make? You take that for the year and then you multiply it by 3 to 5x. So that's normally what it trades for. Those are the trading, like what people pay for it. So
Mm.
let's say that it's
A
makes
million.
100 grand
Okay.
net, right? 100 grand net, like cash in the pocket. 100 grand net. So you're going to be paying between 300 to 500,000. However, when you get into the bigger companies, and so this is why merging is really cool, is like I can buy a company right now at 3x, right? EBITDA. But once it's part of my company, especially when it gets big enough, once you get over like 750, like over a mil net a year, then you start going off of 6x, 7x, 8x multiples. So that is like you can double the value of that company that you acquired, snap of a button, the moment that they become part of your company. Isn't that crazy?
Dude, that's super crazy. I guess where my brain goes next, because I've listened to a lot, like I follow a lot of these people, right? So I understand a lot of these concepts, even though I'm not in these worlds.
Hmm.
I think about like so where's the biggest opportunity in these worlds? Is it, making hospitality better? Is it sales? Is it marketing? I think I have an idea of what the answer is, but tell us, like, when you look at these, okay, I'm going to acquire this not just to increase my portfolio, but because I see that they miss something. They're missing click-through rates. They're missing something. What do you usually look for when you're trying to acquire, or is it just, hey, I just want to build my portfolio?
A lot of them don't know. There's three places where I think most struggle with. One is they don't hire a team or don't know how to hire a team or don't know how to do that. That's usually like a big pain point, or they whatever. Second is expense management. A lot of people don't know what the hell they're doing when it comes to expenses. And then the last one is sales and marketing. That's like the biggest value add you can do. That's, I think, the most common is just like coming in there and being like, dude, you have not been scaling as fast. Let me take the same brand and boom, look at how much faster I can scale. So I think sale, and what's cool about buying a business, look, when you create a business from scratch, you got to do the website, you got to do the LLC, you got to get all the like trust build out with the local community. Dude, day one, I acquired the latest company, the co-host company. I had trust in the market. It's been around since 2016. There's all these systems are in place already. I have all the employees in place. What do I do day one? The thing that I love to do, sales and marketing, baby. That's what I live for, right? And that's where I add the value. That's where I can add 20, 30 contracts. And now I'm adding more value to the whole management company. So either the contracts or I add value in terms of making more money for revenue for the owners and for myself. And so that what better way to be welcomed into a company than increasing revenue by 30% for everybody, right? So that's kind of the idea.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Sales and marketing are always the biggest components, especially in our industry as well. I heavily favor marketing over sales now, just because I understand it more, right? Like one salesperson can't pay for 10 marketers, but one marketer can pay for 10 salespeople. So when your marketing is up there, bro, it's a game changer, especially once your brand gets up there, right? If you have that brand already established, dude, the conversations that happen, the doors you can walk into are totally different. So yeah, man, that's exciting. Like seeing that. So you're at you acquired 100 very quickly. You're in Joshua Tree now. Do you plan to expand into other parts of California, or where would you say, like, where do you think your biggest opportunity is right now? Expanding more in California, going to a different market, or what do you think?
What did your you said your mom or your dad? What did your dad say? What's a smart thing your dad said?
Yeah, I think you need to double down where you're at first.
Really nail your thing, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, what's your niche? Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that you want to focus on and become the best thing at that one thing. I think that's like what all parents want you to have, right? Is to nail your shit. So like you're the realtor, right? Like that's your shit. That's what you focus on. That's what you're really good at. That's what you teach other people how to do. Obviously, you can probably do a lot of other things, and you probably do a lot of other things, but you have your main thing, the thing that people go to you for. It's Rich your realtor. It's not Rich your lender and realtor. No, it's Rich
Mm-hmm.
your realtor, right? Because that's what you're good at. That's your number one thing. And so, what is my number one thing, right? When people come to me, like, why would somebody come to me? People come to me because I'm the Airbnb guy, specifically in Joshua Tree. So if you're coming to me and you have a property, if you have a property in Joshua Tree, you got to talk to Patryk. That's what I want. That's what I want everyone to know. If you if you do anything with Airbnbs, I could be your Airbnb guy. But if you have an Airbnb in Joshua and you don't talk to Patryk, you're freaking dumb. Like that's where you want to be, right? And that's good marketing, right? That's great marketing. And that's why I put myself out there and do these things. One of the reasons. But I want to niche down. So I think we have a pretty good niche. We do a really good job there. However, yeah, of course, I think about scale and I think about marketing and doing these kind of things. Scaling within my niche, a lot less um, headaches, right? So, like for example, if I took another venue or another big property in another state or another area, then I don't know anybody there. I don't have any contractors. I don't have any people to call on. I have to understand that area better. I have to learn everything about that area. It's kind of like being a realtor. You got to learn this new area. It's like, yeah, you can help that person, but hey, if Fullerton, California is your place and you gotta go to Rich for that, then you gotta go to Rich for that, right? I'm just making this up, but that's just the game I play. And of course, we're gonna scale and move into another place, and we're gonna kind of go into another industry, but that takes time, and I want to be known for my shit, my craft. So that's kind of where I'm at.
That's awesome, man. So something that comes to mind is, so when you're acquiring, it's also around this business as well, the co-hosting. Where do you think what do you think's harder for people in this industry? Is it the sales and marketing part, or is it getting like the hospitality and kind of the operations going for the co-hosting like business, right? Like, do you think the owners of co-hosting, do they struggle more with, okay, how do I organize my staff and how do I organize, all the logistics, or is it like, how do I sell and market for co-hosting?
I think it's both. But I think a lot of people don't know how to. Well, I think people are like, well, I just grew through referrals. And I'm like, that's cool. That's a form of sales and marketing. But it gets them to where they need to go. But they don't do like, I have a CRM. I have my leads. I talk to people every day. I develop big partnerships all the time. I give a lot of value to my realtors. Like, realtors are a big referral source for us. But that's the thing. It's like, most people would be like, well, realtor, you could probably relate to this. Everyone goes to realtors for their leads. Why? Because they have established trust with their clients. Why not? Why can't I establish trust in my clients, right? And this is an example. I put a video together and I said, hey, what to buy in Joshua Tree. Here, based on the numbers I have in my portfolio, like actual numbers. That video blew up. When I say blew up, for our area, it blew up in the sense that it went up to 2,000 views. But 2,000 views of people are trying to look for a property in Joshua Tree is pretty damn good. So a lot of these people reach out to me and ask me, cool. I actually really like, you seem like you know what you're doing. Can you help me buy a property? And so now I'm the one that's giving the lead over to the realtor. Can I take it on? Of course I can. But guess what? I stay in my lane. I do what I do best, right? And that's managing properties. I send it over to the realtor. The realtor closes the deal. They dish it back to me for the management. Cool. We got this little shimbing going. So look, I'm giving them leads. I'm giving realtors leads instead of realtors having to come to me and I have to beg them to give me a lead. They're like, well, I love working with you because you give back. Like, you're not just a leech, hey, if they need help selling a property, hey, let me put together a revenue or a pro forma to show you, like, hey, the prospective buyers, how much this property can make as a short-term rental. Like, let's tee it up. Or, hey, this buyer is getting cold feet. He's not trying to buy this property. I don't know what to do. Get him on the phone. I'll talk to him for 1 hour. Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk to him. Talk to him for 1 hour. Be like, hey, dude, yeah, I'm telling you, this is a great deal. And this is why. X, Y, and Z, 3 comps. Perfect. This is going to make $150,000 all day. There you go. That's all you needed to really get that push to get that deal sold. And so that's the beautiful part about, building stronger relationships versus just, oh, they're going to just send me referrals,
Yeah, man, that definitely makes sense. Having the relationships are everything, right? Because like marketing and sales, they lead to relationships. And that's something I tell my team is like, guys, all we're doing every day is we're relationship building. People are going to work with people they know, like, and trust, or know, love, and trust, right? And if we can show and express and just get people to digest that we're the people to help them and they trust us, we're going to win 100%, man. It's all about relationships. And that's what we're just relationship builders. So how can I love on everybody that I speak to? Like, let me just love on you and just take care of you, right? Just as if we were family, right? I think last night you're like, hey man, I got a family email from you. Does that mean we're family? Yeah, bro. We're doing a podcast. We're family now. There's no getting out of this relationship, Patryk. It's already so locked in, dude. Brother.
I was like, wait, hold up. I got a podcast. You know, you reviewing your schedule for the next day. I'm like, okay, this is a podcast invite from Rich Family. I'm like, family? It's like, you talking
Family,
about
brother.
family now? Hey, what is this? Like,
Fast and the Furious, brother.
I was
F is
gonna
for family.
say, we're family. We're family.
We're family now,
Uh,
man. Question. So, when you're speaking to potential people, potential owners, well, owners of Airbnbs, right, or somebody looking to buy one, um, do you prefer? I mean, obviously, you're going to work with both, but what do you see as the challenges? I guess tell me what's the challenges with the people who are new hosts versus the challenges for people who are experienced, right? Because if I'm an experienced Airbnb host, I already have, I'm a super host. I already get 500 bookings a year, whatever they get. What's the conversation? Is it different conversation for them versus new, or do you cater to each? Or what do you do?
Sales is catering to personalities. Sales is catering to the mood for the day. Sales is catering to people's needs. So yeah, of course. I mean, at the end of the day, my idea when I come on this call, it's all mentality. The way that I look at it is sales is a noble thing. I don't care. And this was something that takes a lot of people to mental game, because a lot of people come into it feel like they're selling.
Yeah.
If you feel like that you're selling, then you're freaking selling, brother. I don't know what to tell you. When I come into these conversations, like I'm thinking of it as they're human beings, they have a problem, and I have a solution to ease their problem. Like that is at the core, it's a noble thing. To leave them there, it's like walking by, you have Tylenol in your pocket. You're walking by and this person's suffering on the ground and you just step over them. That's what it feels like when you're not selling somebody. I got to take that Tylenol. I got to pop that right there. I'm trying to save that person, the pain and suffering that they got, right? So the way I do it is obviously like a lot of people are going to ask questions. I give value. I don't withhold things. I don't withhold when I'm like, oh, well, you got to use our service to be able to know what that is. I just give everything. I'm like, here's all the value. And then people are so much in their head where they're like, dude, this guy gave me so much value for free. I wonder what it would be like if they gave me, if I gave them money, like it. And then I'm like, do it, motherfucker. I'll show you. So like that, but that goes to show like people, it's law of reciprocity, right? The idea that when somebody gives you a lot, you feel like you owe them. Truth. But also just giving so much where you're like a good human being and you want to help them be better. And so in our case, these people are, when I see a property that's struggling, and I like, for example, here's here's a perfect example. And this one guy had a property, or has a property, still has a property. And he was like, look, I seen the property. It's doing like 3,000 a month or something like that, like 2,000, 2,000 a month. I look at that property and I see another one in my portfolio that does 10,000 a month. And I'm looking at that property and I'm like, dude, please. I'm like almost begging this guy because I don't want to be desperate, but I'm so confident that this property is going to make money. Like the guy didn't believe me. He doesn't believe me. Like he truly doesn't believe me. So because he was like, dude, this property can't do 10,000. I'm like, bro, I'm telling you, your photos suck. Your pricing sucks. Like, just please, please, please. Like, it's like almost like, but here's the thing. He's like, I've been sold by other management companies or whatever. When you believe in your product so much, I gave him an offer he couldn't refuse. I told him, I was like, dude, how much are you making right now? And he's like, dude, I'm making 3,000 a month. I'm like, look, anytime that I make over 3,500, because to cover the cost,
Of course.
3,500. And look, I was like, dude, I won't do any of the other shit. I won't do, like, I'll just do pricing and revenue management and just do photos. I'm gonna do all that for you. I'll do all that for you. You take care. Matt, run the property. I don't care, because he has a little bit of a trust issue. He just got burned so much by people.
Yep.
And I was like, but here's the thing. If we make you less than $3,500, you pay me $0. You do not pay me anything for this month. 0%. But if I make you more than $3,500, we'll take 15%. That's low.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's such a no-brainer offer. He was like, all right. And then I was like, you can cancel anytime. You just all I care about is you give me 3 months. Just give me fucking 3 months. We're in month 1 right now. We're just getting started. We haven't even gotten new photos yet. And I think we're like 5,000, 6,000 this month. We doubled so far in a slower month, in like a slower month. And the dude is like ecstatic. And he's like, dude, he's so happy that we just gave him this offer. He felt stupid that he was saying no all this time. Like, dude, we've been trying to get him for months, but I was so confident. I knew this guy was going to change. This is going to change his life. When you believe in your product and your service that much, that's when you truly change somebody's life. And he will not change his life, but like in this sense, ease his life, right? And we doubled what he made. And I promise you we're going to do over 10,000. I just know it. But hopefully people can relate. Sales is a noble thing, guys.
Yep.
So
yeah, because you understand it. Like you understand it in the intellectual heart level. You understand this at deepest level. All you got to do is how can I make this so digestible to this person that they receive it in that same manner that you're trying to explain it. And sometimes that's the biggest challenging point. But when, yeah, man, like I said, you explained it right. Your sales is noble. You gotta love on the consumers. You got to make it so clear, so plain. Like they'd feel dumb saying no. And I think Gary Vee talks about jab, jab, left hook. Alex Moses talks about it too. I'm going to give you so much, you're going to feel dumb. So yeah, man, that's awesome. Well, let's get more into. I know we talked about it yesterday. What have you had anything funky ever happen into your properties, or
no, man,
everything's pretty clean and
it's all clean, bro. Nothing crazy happens over here. We only got 100 properties and 10 what is it, average just imagine this, right? 100 properties. You got average amount of people stay, let's say five stays per month. Average guest count 6.
Okay.
Now do the math times 12. I mean, dude, are you actually doing the math, Rich? Damn. Well, that's a lot.
Well, yeah, I was gonna do the math, but now I'm not gonna do the math anymore. 100 properties, 5 stays a month times 6, right? That's 3,000.
Okay, 3,000. That's per month.
3,000 per month, and then times 12, 36,000 people are gonna go into your units at some point.
So that's a lot of freaking people, right?
So you're bound to
get some crazy people. So yes, 100%. So yeah, like we get issues all the time. Some of the most notable ones, so let's talk about the first one. Is the story of the cleaner finding a tampon that was used as a Coke machine.
Coca-Cola machine. Coca-Cola.
They use a tampon to do Coke. Okay. So pretty much we found a like tampered tampon that was used for somebody to sniff Coke. That was an interesting one. We've seen sex dolls in trash cans. We've seen a porn shoot. Funny enough, our handyman arrived to a house where there was a porn shoot going on. And they thought that he was one of the actors, which is kind of funny. So, things like that happen quite a lot. And the handyman, at least from my knowledge, didn't do anything. But you never know.
Didn't get paid for it, huh?
Maybe a side job here and there. I don't know. But that stuff, we got bachelorette parties. We got people trashing the house. Like people will come in and just, we had a famous person. Ooh, this was a good one. We had a famous person, their son, a famous person you would know, everyone would know. I'm not throwing them under the bus. It's an A-list celebrity, and their son stayed at one of our properties and trashed the place, like a full body through the wall kind of hole, like trashed this place. And we got over $10,000 worth of claims. What is claims? Like we have insurance on every stay. So we have to make claims for when things break, right? And so $10,000 worth of damages that we had to get from our insurance, which is insane. Some other notable ones we found, shorts in hot tubs, so like or bikinis and things like that, like in hot tubs, stuck in the system.
Yeah.
So like it's not working anymore, and it's because people were fucking in the hot tub. There's people that will, we had a woman inquire recently saying that she wants to use her big dildo vibrator to shoot OF content, OnlyFans content.
What?
Yeah, and I was like, well, you can, but we're gonna charge you a little commercial fee going on. I mean, there's a price for everything. So, yeah, an extra cleaning fee maybe as well. But there's stuff like that all the time, Rich. You gotta come out. You gotta come out sometime. I'll show you around. I'll show you some of the craziness out here.
Definitely, bro. I go to Palm Springs every year, so I'm like right around the corner from there. Sometimes I pass through, sometimes I don't. Just depends how I feel. I don't enjoy going that back route, to be honest. It's so boring.
Yeah, I get it. No, I get it.
But it's not too far from there, man. I definitely want to check it out. I see a lot of people going to Joshua Tree to do whatever activities that they're doing. So I get you, man. Dude, I have another. Every time you speak, I'm like, okay, I have a question. So for those people wondering, so what's a good, I guess, like bottom line for a co-hosting business, right? Because you're taking 25%, you have 40 people on staff. What would you say is a good number for like a good, what would you think?
So profit margins, especially once you get bigger, around 30% ish.
Oh, okay, that's good.
So it's it's pretty good. It could be lower. It could be 25%.
Yeah.
20, but we're around 30. Good. Around 30, which is good. But it's expensive to run a co-hosting business. There's a lot of people involved. However, also you can make a lot of money. I mean, we do probably around 750,000 a year ish right now. That could, I mean, that's kind of where we're trending. We had a really great record December, so it could be higher. But the idea is it does well. I mean, you're making a lot of money per month, and it's rewarding, but also it's very, there's a lot of moving parts to it. So yeah, you can make a good amount of money. If you're a individual host and you're like under 25 properties, you can change your life. You can make like 10 grand a month. You're going to be working more in the business, but you can easily make 10 grand a month and just quit your job. So a lot of people can do that. So, which is really interesting,
Yeah. But I think at that point and I talk to realtors all day about this, like, okay, do I want to be self-employed or do I want to be a business owner? And I think that's the biggest challenge for a lot of entrepreneurs, because a lot of them treat it as a high paying job versus, acquiring leverage and having technology and employees. If you don't have technology or employees, or if you don't have both, you're just paying yourself, man. And you're running yourself into the ground essentially. Right. Like me, I'm chilling, bro. Like the last 3 months, I've been hanging out, man. Like
awesome.
Hey, like what are the big decisions that need to be made? Talk to my COO. Hey, we need this to happen. Boom, boom, boom. She makes it happen, and we're locked in, bro.
We have a COO as well. It's great. I don't know where I would be without her. I pay her really well, but it definitely causes less issues. So hey,
yeah, man, stress management, peace management, man. I'm all about it. So I guess we're here almost at the hour. So any final thoughts, closing statements, if for those listening in right now, what if somebody wanted to get started into that same career path, whether they just want to be a solopreneur in the Airbnb space, or maybe they want to be an entrepreneur and own multiple, co-hosting units, or be the manager for those.
Co-hosting is awesome. I think the best piece of advice is when you're starting out, do a trial run. Say, hey, the first 3 months, let me do it for free, and I'll show you how well I can do, or it'll be a learning experience for me. And then if you want to continue using me, then you can charge. I will charge 15%. Like,
Yeah,
and then you get at the very least, even if they leave, you have a case study. You have something to show other people to show, hey,
exactly.
look how well I did for this other person at, you know, and I could definitely do the same thing for you. So that, yeah, having a case study testimonials is always good when you're starting out any business. So that's what I recommend.
I like that, man. I like the case study. I believe in the same thing as well. Now, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, be a part of that group that you run, how can they do that?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on Instagram, Patryk, Patryk _SWI. You'll be able to find it. I think it's actually down here
It
too.
is right down there. Yep.
So yeah, you guys can reach out. I'm an open book. Whatever you guys want to talk about. If you want more crazy stories, I got you. Whatever you need, just hit me up, and then yeah, just get the DMs. Let me know that you're from this podcast, because I think it'll be really interesting for Rich and I to know.
That
So
would be amazing,
yeah,
man. That'd be
yeah,
exciting. So, anyways, brother, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.
of
Until next time, I'd love to do this in another year from now to just see where we've grown. So, and also
course.
here, did you go to from 100 to maybe 1,000, or what happened over the year? You know.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Hey, we'll do it again, man.
All right, brother. Take care. Take care. Thank you so much.